Hello everyone, welcome you all in my YouTube channel. This is the new series of AZ-400 exam. In order to pass AZ-400 exam, you have to score at least 700 marks out of 1000 marks. And the total number of questions would be 69 and the total timing for this would be 140 minutes. And after completing AZ-400 exam, you will achieve a badge like this in which it is written Microsoft Certification Exam AZ-400. In the upcoming videos, we will get the real-time exam questions of AZ-400 exam. Coming to the questions, this is the first question and it is a drag and drop based question. You need to recommend a project matrix for dashboards in Azure DevOps. Which chart widget should you recommend for each matrix? To answer, drag the appropriate chart widget to the correct matrix. Each chart widget may be used once, more than once, or not at all. You may need to drag the split bar between the panes or scroll to view the content. And the content is, we have this chart widgets, this answer area, and we have to select correct chart widget to the correct statement. And first statement is elapsed time from creation of work items to their completion. Second statement is elapsed time to work items once they are active. And third statement is remaining work. And correct chart widgets would be elapsed time from creation of work items to their completion would be lead time. Elapsed time to complete work items once they are active would be cycle time, and the remaining work would be work time. Moving to the next question, you plan to create alerts that will be triggered based on the page load performance of a home page. You have the application inside log query shown in the following exhibit. Use the drop-down menus to select the answer choice that complete each statement based on the information presented in the graphic. This is the graphic and application insight, as we can see, where percentile durations are given. And now the question is, to create an alert based page load experience of most users, alerting level must be based on percentile duration 50, percentile duration 90, percentile duration 95, or threshold. And second, to only create an alert when authentication error occurs on the server. The query must be filtered on item type, result code, source, or success. And correct answers would be, to create an alert-based page load experience of most users, alerting level must be based on percentile duration 95. To only create an alert when authentication error occurs on the server, query must be filtered on success. Moving towards next question, you manage an Azure web app that supports an e-commerce website. You need to increase the logging level when the web app exceeds normal usage pattern. The solution must minimize administrative overhead. Which two resources should you include in the solution? Options are Azure Automation Runbook, option B, Azure Monitor Alert that has dynamic threshold, option C, Azure Monitor Alert that has static threshold, option D, Azure Monitor Auto Scale Setting, and option E, Azure Monitor Alert that uses an action group that has email action. And correct options would be option A, Azure Automation Runbook, and option B, Azure Monitor Alert that has dynamic threshold. Coming to the question number 4, you have an Azure Kubernetes service AKS pod. You need to configure a prop to perform the following action. First, confirm that pod is responding to the service request. Second, check the status of the pod 4 times a minute. Third, initiate a shutdown if the pod is unresponsive. How should you complete the YAML configuration file? This is the answer area. /server, liveness pro, readiness pro, shutdown pro, startup pro. And the value check now would be initial display second 15, period is second 15, timeout second 15. And correct options would be readiness pro and period second 50. Moving towards next question, you have a Microsoft ASP.NET Core web app in the Azure that is accessed worldwide. You need to run a URL ping once every 5 minutes and creates an alert when the web app is unavailable from the specific Azure region. The solution must minimize the development time. What should you do? Option A, create an Azure monitor availability metric and alert. Option B, create an application insight availability test and alert. Option C, write an Azure function and deploy the function of the specific region. And option D, create an Azure service health alert for a specific region. Correct options would be option B, create an Azure application insight availability test and alert. Moving towards next question, you have multi-tier application. The front end of the application is hosted in Azure App Service. You need to identify the average load time of the application pages. What should you use? Option A, Azure Application Insight. Option B, activity log of the app service. Option C, diagnostic log of the application service. And option D, Azure Advisor. And correct option would be option A, Azure Application Insight. Moving towards next question, your company uses ServiceNow for incident management. You develop an application that runs on Azure. The company needs to generate a ticket in ServiceNow when the application fails to authenticate. Which Azure Log Analytics should you use? Option A, Application Insight Connector. Option B, Automation and Control. Option C, IT Service Management Connector, ITSM. Or option D, Insight and Analytics. And correct option is option C, IT Service Management Connector. Moving towards question number 8, your company is building a new web application. You plan to collect feedback from pilot users on the feature being delivered. All the pilot users have a corporate computer that has Google Chrome and Microsoft Test and Feedback extension installed. The pilot user will test the application by using Chrome. You need to identify which access level are required to ensure that developers can request and gather feedback from the pilot user. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. Which access level in Azure DevOps should you identify? Developer, basic or stakeholder, and pilot user, basic or stakeholder. And correct options would be developer will be use basic and pilot user will use stakeholder. Moving towards question number 9, you use Azure SQL Database, Intelligent Insights, and Azure Application Insight for monitoring. You need to write ad hoc queries against the monitoring data. Which query language should you use? Option A, Custom Query Language, KQL. Option B, PL/PGSQL. Option C, PL/SQL. Option D, Transact SQL. And correct option would be option A, Custom Query Language, KQL. Moving towards next question, your company creates a web application. You need to recommend a solution that automatically sends to Microsoft Teams a daily summary of exceptions that occur in the application. Which two Azure services should you recommend? Options are option A, Azure Logic App. Option B, Azure Pipeline. Option C, Microsoft Visual Studio App Center. Option D, Azure DevOps. And option E, Azure Application Insight. And correct option would be option A, Azure Logic App. And option E, Azure Application Insight.